Hello, everyone. Welcome to Steelers Live, our Friday edition. I'm Bob Labriola, and one of the highlights of this show every week is the status report for the upcoming game. Let's take a look at that now. When the week started, I was a little nervous about some of the names on the status report, but by the time we got to today, it's looking pretty good, all things considered. The only two names on the Steelers status report are Morgan Burnett and Mike Hilton. Both of them are listed as doubtful. History tells us that when players are listed as doubtful, it's reasonable to assume that they will not be playing. I really think, though, the big news is the names that you may have seen on practice reports leading up to today, but are not on the status report, which means they are probable or better than that. Means they're very likely to be starting and playing their normal roles against the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday night at Heinz Field. Those names are David DeCastro and Marcus Gilbert. So Ben Roethlisberger will have the starting right side of his offensive line back. Another name that was on that list early in the week but is now not, wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. He had been nursing, battling, rehabbing an abdominal injury. His absence, I think, would have been a problem for the Steelers because, as Mike Prisuta and I have talked about earlier in the week when we've been on together, we both kind of see this upcoming game against the Ravens as being a little bit out of the ordinary in terms of Steelers-Ravens games of the recent past. We don't see this being 13-9 as an example, and so it's a pretty good thing that the Steelers will have Juju Smith-Schuster available, likely starting after he is not on the status report, as I just mentioned. Another name that's not on the status report and has not been on a practice report for a while, but a guy who was listed on the injury reports and practice reports early in the season, late in the preseason, is Vance McDonald. He is the number one tight end, and boy, did he not make an impact in Tampa against the Buccaneers. Let's take a look at a play that has been replayed many, many times on many, many networks, maybe one of the big plays or most exciting plays of Week 3 in the NFL, Vance McDonald's 75-yard touchdown, also known as the stiff arm.
Due to the short week, Coach Tomlin only showed one play from the Steelers' win over Tampa Bay during film review with his team.
Vance McDonald runs over a man. He's at the 40, the 35, the 30.
It, of course, was Vance McDonald's stiff arm on the way to his 75-yard touchdown on Monday night.
Vance McDonald completely ran over strong safety Chris Conte.
The play marked the team's first touchdown in the first quarter of the 2018 season, and it didn't just help ignite the Steelers' offense and cause an uproar on the sideline with his teammates, it also became a hot topic on social media.
Man, I liked it that I had to flex in the end zone with him. Grown man move.
We was really excited. I was excited for him personally. He's a guy who's been here battling a lot of injuries, going through a lot, but anytime you get him in a situation one-on-one, he's going to be tough to bring down.
This wasn't the first time, however, the Steelers saw McDonald make a hustle play. During Week 3 in Chicago last season, number 89 forced a fumble after the Bears blocked a Chris Boswell field goal attempt and looked to have an easy score.
The Bears are going to get a touchdown out of this.
That's Marcus Cooper, and he goes for a Bears touchdown.
I think that ball was knocked out before he crossed the goal line.
Yep, and Vance McDonald stripped him before the goal line.
For McDonald, both plays embody something that he was taught at a young age.
Yeah, I had great coaches early on and mentoring, just telling you that you can't coach effort. And so that's one thing that you can control as a player. And so I've always tried to carry that, and sometimes it comes up big.
Okay, that's Vance McDonald, a big part of the Steelers' offense, a guy that when the Steelers acquired him at the end of the 2017 preseason phase, he was kind of earmarked to be the tight end that they've been looking for since Heath Miller retired, a guy who can threaten defenses deep down the middle or as a physical presence closer to the line of scrimmage. It's good to get Vance McDonald on the field on a regular basis now. It looks like he's starting to hit his stride. Okay, we're going to take a quick break right now, but when we return, Mike Pursuta will join me for Pursuita's Plays to Ponder. Okay, this is a feature we call Pursuita's Place to Ponder, and in it, Mike Pursuta sounds a lot more intelligent than he does on Agree to Disagree because he's not arguing with me. Okay, Mike, what do you got?
The Steelers and Ravens have been going at it a long time as division rivals, but this is a different Baltimore Ravens team that the Steelers are getting ready to host on Sunday night at Heinz Field. Mike Tomlin has called the Ravens unfamiliar. There have been that many changes. It's not an entirely new crew. Some stuff is still as it has been and as you would expect it to be. But a lot of changes in Baltimore. Let's go to the highlights of last Sunday's victory over Denver. Let's start with a familiar face, Terrell Suggs, coming off the right edge, the vice grip sack of Case Keenum, and he forces a fumble. Suggs can come from just about anywhere, and he's been doing this his whole life. Career sack number 127.5, and his 34th forced fumble. Now to Joe Flacco. He's going to throw a deep ball here to John Brown, one of the new receivers, and Flacco has been doing this a long time as well. He's always thrown a great deep ball. You can't put it any better than that. But John Brown, one of 3 new receivers on this Ravens team, they went out and overhauled the receiving core, and it's paying dividends. Here's a little red zone action, and number 8 is Lamar Jackson, the quarterback drafted from Louisville that you saw up on the left side of the screen. The play ends up being a simple handoff to Alex Collins, but look at the safeties. They all track to number 8. Lamar Jackson makes for an easy run for Collins. This is yet another Baltimore tight end, Mark Andrews from Oklahoma. Little run pass option, an RPO. The run action freezes the linebackers. Andrews wide open, the latest in a long line of playmaking tight ends for the Ravens. He caught a lot of balls at Oklahoma, and he gets after it aggressively when he does. Here's a rarity in Baltimore, a blocked punt. The Ravens have for years been one of the best kicking game teams in the NFL, but this was a wet game. Snap a little high, the ball not exactly handled cleanly and quickly, and the punt gets blocked. Baltimore also suffered a blocked field goal against the Broncos. There is some rare blood in the special teams water in Baltimore. Maybe that's something the Steelers can take advantage. Here's what you need to know most about the Ravens. This from CBS analyst James Lofton. Think about the Ravens during the offseason. You go out and you acquire 3 new veteran wide receivers. You draft 2 new tight ends. You're telling people you want to throw the ball. And guys, they weren't lying. Baltimore wants to throw the football. The Ravens were poor offensively last year, poor in the passing game, but they went out and got John Brown. They went out and got Michael Crabtree. They went out and got Willie Snead. All those guys are veteran receivers. One of their number 1 picks, Hayden Hurst, tight end from South Carolina, hasn't even played yet, but Andrews is contributing nicely. This is a Ravens team that's going to attack. 97 points, 12 for 12 in the red zone. No NFL team has ever started a season that way. This is indeed a different group of Baltimore Ravens.
Okay, thanks, Mike. And as you and I talked about during Agree to Disagree, both of us expect this to be a game that will be a shootout, not one of those typical 13-9 Steelers-Ravens games. And so we'll have to see what happens Sunday night at Heinz Field. Okay, that's going to do it for this edition of Steelers Live. Thanks for joining us. We will be back on Monday at 4 p.m.